Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather. If you're new, I'm so glad to have you here, and if you are returning, welcome back. We are here today to talk about all of the 10 books I read during the month of March. Reading is not a competition, but I was taking part in a readathon that was very competitive last month. I am a person who typically averages between 6 and 8 books a month during the months of August through May because I am a teacher and sometimes I don't have the motivation to read big chunks each day. But because of realmathon, I really managed to up my reading average, and I'm very happy with that. I was on Team Stags. We did not win, but I still think we were the best team. Like I said, I read 10 books last month, and I'm just going to go over the stats from my reading journal instead of Storygraph today because I don't know, I did a good job keeping up with stuff in my reading journal this month. I will also show you some pictures of my reading journal at the very end of the video, just in case you were curious. But I managed to read 10 books. As far as star ratings go, I had 1 2-star, 2 3-stars, 5 4-stars, and 2 5-stars. I read 1 fantasy book, 1 romantasy book, 4 romance books, 1 lit fic, 1 mystery, 1 thriller, and 1 sci-fi. So I had a very well-rounded month that definitely skewed toward romance, and I think that's just because they're fun, they're easy. I flew through them, especially during Gala of Peace. If you know, you know. But let's just get into the books now. I think I am going to go in order of lowest rated to highest rated because that just makes sense for my brain. The only 2-star book that I had last month was Count My Lies by Sophie Stava. This is about a girl who is a compulsive liar, and she ends up getting a job as a nanny for this family because she lies when she meets the family and says that she is a nurse. She's not a nurse, she's a nail tech, and she lied to get that job. So this girl is just full of lies and full of herself. And as she becomes the nanny for this family, she begins to get integrated with them. She has a crush on the dad. She wants to be best friends / just like the mom. And this is just a book that is like so many other thrillers that I read that did not manage to really do anything new or different. I picked this up as my book of the month last month because I just was not a fan of any of the picks, but I really wanted one of the add-ons. So I was like, I do like a thriller every now and then. So I picked this up. I will say I read it very fast. This was one of my Gala of Peace reads, but because it just didn't do anything new, the writing wasn't spectacular. I didn't feel attached to any of the characters. And even though thrillers typically feature unlikable characters, I had no reason to root for anybody in the story. So 2 stars, plus I really did not like the ending. So not my favorite. One of my 3-star books from this last month was A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. My In Real Life book club has been picking themed book club reads, and last month it was a historical mystery. So I decided this was the perfect time to kind of jump in and get my feet wet with this series that I know so many people love. We are following 2 characters. I can't remember their names at this point. I'm so sorry. But the girl is a butterfly hunter and the guy is a taxidermist, and they have to work together to solve a mystery in the historical setting. I liked their banter. I liked the kind of sexual tension, the will they won't they that they had throughout this whole book, but nothing comes of it in this book. This is a very long series, by the way. And I didn't really care. I know a lot of people really like this series, but I'm not going to be continuing in it. I think it worked perfectly for the reason that I picked it up. I listened to it on audio, and my main complaint is that the female main character was so pretentious and so full of herself and had to be right and always had to have the last word. And I think that can be done well, but in this case, it just did not really work for me. So unfortunately, A Curious Beginning was a 3-star. It was perfectly fine, as the kids would say. It was mid. Another 3-star book that I read, and I am so sad that this one did not work out better for me than it did, was A Feather So Black by Lyra Celine. Let me first say the writing in this book was immaculate. If you want a book that you want to read strictly to be transported and to be fully immersed in the setting, this is the book for you. But I just didn't care how this book ended, which is sad when you're reading a romantasy. This book is following our main character, Fia, who is a changeling. She was basically swapped out for a human princess and was left in the human realm while the human princess counterpart was whisked away to the Fae realm and was raised there. And she has this curse where she turns into a swan each night, and therefore it's kind of a swan princess retelling. But Fia is tasked to go to the Fae realm and rescue her human counterpart. When she gets there, she is immersed in the world of the Fae. I just felt like this book was so slow moving. I didn't care about the relationships between any of the characters, and I honestly kept reading it for the vibes, hoping that something really cool was going to go down at the end, and it didn't work for me. I have friends who love this book. I have friends who this was their favorite book of last year for them. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt on this one. It just was not the romantasy that I needed, even though it was beautifully, beautifully written. And I did like what it did as far as being a romantasy that wasn't all about an assassin main character who's super sassy and snippy. It was different. It was not like that. It just didn't give me the plot that I wanted. Let's get into 4-star reads. During Gala of Peace, I knew that this next book was one that I wanted to read. It is a short story by Abby Jimenez called The Fall Risk, and it was so cute. I read this one on my Kindle. I read it in an evening. Just absolutely precious. It is about 2 neighbors, a guy and a girl, and they share a landing with each other, and one day the apartment complex accidentally schedules their stairs to get taken down. They meant to schedule it for a different set of units, but I guess there was miscommunication, and so these two are essentially trapped on their second floor apartments with no way down. They get to know each other. The girl is kind of paranoid because of a stalker situation she had in her past. The guy is just like a cinnamon roll. He is an absolute cinnamon roll who loves trees. We love to see it. But because they have this actual forced proximity with each other, they set up this shared communal space on the landing and they get to know each other, and their love story was just really sweet and really cute. And I also loved what ended up happening with their friends who came to visit them like in the parking lot and be like, hey, how you doing? It was really cute. I really recommend this for a very fast read. It's got all of the charm that we have grown to love and expect from Abby Jimenez, and just makes me excited to continue picking up books by her. So The Fall Risk was 4 stars. Please go read it if you haven't. It's such an easy time, but it's such a good time. During Gala of Peace weekend, I also picked up Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is book 2 in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and how can you not love these covers? They give like comic book Archie style vibes to me. I just love it. So Rebel Blue Ranch is a ranch, obviously. Duh, I can't remember what state it's in. It's like Wyoming or something like that. But we've got all of these siblings that are part of this ranching family. And in this book, we are following West, who is the middle child of this family. And he kind of feels like he doesn't have a place or a stake in the ranch. And so he takes on a project to open up the old main house as a bed and breakfast. He hires our female main character, Ada, to come be the interior designer. These two hit it off without knowing who each other are the first night that she's in town at the local bar, which is just so cute. And it was pretty steamy, I'm not gonna lie. And then she shows up for work the next day and she's like, crap, I almost hooked up with my boss. And so they have a will they won't they for the majority of the book. But on top of the romance just being written really well in this book, I love the found family that both main characters have. Obviously West has his actual family that lives on the ranch, but there are so many friends and tie-ins to the community that you get introduced to in this book, and it really makes you excited for future books. I loved how committed they both were to their jobs, and so that the sole focus of the book wasn't just their inner monologue about each other. Ada is going through a lot dealing with trust issues. She was not treated very well by her ex-husband, and West has his own set of things that he's working through as well, such as depression. And I think that the author handles these mental health and these toxic situations that some of our characters have been through with a lot of care, and I think a lot of people can find things to relate to in her characters. So it's short and sweet, but it really packs a punch, and I'm excited to continue on in this series. Okay, I'm going to talk about the next 2 books out of order because I rated the second book 5 stars and the third book 4 stars. This month I read both Wild Eyes and Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This is book 2, Wild Side is book 3. I gave this one 5 stars. This follows a country singer named Skylar who comes to Rose Hill to record her next album. She wants to do something that is a project completely on her own that her parents and agents aren't forcing her to do. So this is something that she has been like, I'm gonna do it by myself. When she gets to Rose Hill, she meets Weston. The first chapter of this book is so funny. Like their meet cute is just excellent, but she has lived a very like spoiled life. She's not a spoiled person, but she gets to this place and she's all on her own, and she realizes that there are things that she does not know how to do. Weston decides that he is going to extend a hand of kindness to her and let her stay in the bunkhouse, which is not the kind of living situations she's used to. This poor girl does not even know how to make a bed. Anyway, it's their love story. I really loved it. I love how this series treats parenthood. Almost all of the characters in this series are either single parents or people entering a relationship with a single parent. And I just love the setting. I love the found family. Again, anytime that I'm talking about a romance book that has such a strong found family and sense of community, I'm probably really going to like it. I love the self-discovery that Skylar made along the way. I love the way that this book dealt with toxic parents and really just finding your place in the world. It was really beautiful. This one had spice that I didn't cringe at. Now let's talk about Wild Side, which was a 4-star book. And that's the reason why it was a 4-star book, because the spice did make me cringe in that one. So in Wild Side, I get the names confused when I'm trying to speak about them. Anyway, in Wild Side, we are following Tabitha, who owns the restaurant and bistro in Rose Hill. And we are also following Reese, who is a character who is not from Rose Hill. He is an outsider. These two are kind of fighting over the custody of Tabitha's nephew, because Tabitha's sister Erica has unfortunately passed away in a very tragic situation. It might even be something that, like, if you have had a loved one pass away, you might want to look at trigger warnings or content warnings for this one, because it can be like really hard to read about. These two are probably the people who are closest to Erica. Tabitha is obviously her nephew's aunt, and so she feels that she has the right to raise him. But because of situations that Tabitha does not know, she has named Reese the legal guardian of her nephew Milo. So these two have an actual legitimate reason to not like each other, but to have to kind of stay in close proximity with each other. We also have the secret of what is Reese's job, because he is not from Rose Hill. He keeps getting called away to go work, and it's really fun discovering his job along the way. But the reason why I did not give this one 5 stars, I loved, again, the community, the found family, the banter, but the sexual humor in this one really knocked it down a star for me. And I hate to say that, because I was like, oh my gosh, Rose Hill, finally an Elsie Silver series that's not making me roll my eyes, but this one did a little bit. I'm just gonna say this. Her name is Tabitha. Her nickname is Tabby Cat. Cat is a euphemism for something, and that joke kept popping up over and over again, and it got old really fast. But I loved everything else about this book. It was a 4-star only because of that. Everything else about it was a 5-star. I loved it. I can't wait for Wildcard, which is a trope that I normally don't read about, but color me excited. Another book that landed in the 4-star realm for me was Sunrise on the Reaping. I skipped The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I still haven't read it. I am planning on watching the movie, but Sunrise on the Reaping got picked for April for my teacher in-person book club. I got it on Everand, and I listened to this book so fast. It was so good. It's Hamish's story of when he was in the Hunger Games, and man, do you find out some things about Hamish. Sunrise on the Reaping was a very powerful, very emotional book about the power of propaganda and media and how people can skew a story. It was tragic. There were so many moments in Hamish's life where I was like, I would have given up by now. It would not be worth going on, but Hamish did. But Hamish did. And then when he thinks that his life is okay, there's more tragedy. What made him the way that he is, the reason why this was not a full 5 stars was I just wanted more time in the arena, to be honest. I felt like it went really fast. I felt like I didn't fully click with any of the other characters that we were introduced to, and it made it hard for me to care about what was going on in the arena. I just wanted to see Hamish be okay, and I wasn't okay. I can tell you that. By the time I got to the end of that audiobook, I was not okay. I'm really excited about discussing this one with my teacher friends, and I can say if you are a Hunger Games fan, this one is very, very worth picking up. This book was not a 5-star book, but it was still one of my favorites of the month. I gave this one 4.5. This is The Will of the Many by James Islington. Oh my gosh, the way this book shook my brain and like reformulated my brain cells. I had been craving epic adult fantasy, and this one did it for me. It sure did. We are following our main character, Vis, who is an orphan in this fantasy world, and he lives in this society where you are broken up into a caste system, and the higher you are in the caste system, the more people are ceding their will, their life force to you, and therefore the more power that you have. So this is at the very, very bottom of this totem pole. He hasn't even like given up his life to seeding Will yet. He is refusing to do that as long as he can, but he is an orphan and he is like about to age out of the orphan system. But one day this man who is higher up in the hierarchy comes and he's like, I want to adopt you. And Vis is like, why me? But we figure out it is because this man would like a child or an heir of his to attend this academy where he thinks something treacherous has happened. And so he wants to adopt Vis to get into this academy to succeed because Vis is very, very smart, and also to kind of solve this mystery that his new father proposes to him. It's wild. Like, you've got an academic setting, you've got this crazy magic system. Magic is not allowed at the academy, by the way. And it's full of things like labyrinths and mazes and murder mysteries and horror. Like, I would say that there are some scenes in this book that are absolutely 100% horror. It's sci-fi, it's fantasy, it's a little bit of everything. You've got some trials, like it has everything. And the way this book ended left me with my jaw on the floor. Like, somebody come get a mop and clean it up because it's still there. Oh my gosh. The next book, The Strength of the Few, comes out on November the 11th. And I am just counting down the days at this point. Now we can talk about my 5-star books. If you want to talk about a book that shook me to my core, it's Normal People by Sally Rooney. This was my first Sally Rooney book. We're following our two main characters of Connell and Marianne. They are from a very different economic class, but they are attending the same high school at the beginning of this book. And they form this secret friends with benefits type situation. I mean, they actually are kind of toxically in love with each other, but they also don't want anybody else to know that they are together. It's very, very toxic. Most of this book is very, very toxic. And you're following their relationship over the span of several years. And I don't know, the theme is kind of what keeps bringing you back to a person, what ties you to a person. And there are so many quotes in here that just broke me, melted me, made me smile, but mostly it's just an exploration of humankind. I started tabbing it, but I was listening to the audiobook and the audiobook was just getting so good. I decided to just let that experience be that experience, and I didn't want to keep stopping and starting to go annotate. This will be one that I reread though, and I will annotate it. Connell and Marianne forever have a spot in my heart, and now I also just want to keep picking up Sally Rooney's books because wow, this was a good one. And that was it. That was all the books because I already talked about my other 5-star. Wow, that went by faster than I thought it would. Okay, I did also want to show pictures of my reading journal. So at this point, I will put those in. And I wanted to give you a breakdown of the points just in case you are here from any of my realmathon vlogs, because I said I would provide the points in this video. So A Feather So Black got me plus 77. Normal People got me plus 54. Wild Eyes plus 67. The Fall Risk plus 37. A Curious Beginning is the only book I used to attack another team. So the Pages got plus 20 for Stags, and I attacked the Stingers for minus 32. Count My Lies plus 51. Swift and Saddled plus 59, The Will of the Many plus 78, Wild Side plus 71, and Sunrise on the Reaping plus 55. I ended up getting the Stags a total of 569 points. And I already miss Realmathon. Truly, it was a great time. One more video clip because I almost forgot to show you my genre blanket, which I have been doing in all of my monthly wrap-ups so far. So here is the progress so far. It is at the point where it is almost too big to fit in the frame, but I think it's really interesting to look at my genre blanket this month because you can see I read so much romance. In the month of March. It was like every other book I read was romance. So it starts right here. A Feather So Black is romantasy. This yellow is my Litfic contemporary color. So Normal People, romance thriller, romance mystery, romance fantasy, romance sci-fi. Wow. Next month, it will officially be too big to fit in the frame, but we are making such good progress on it. And thank you guys for being so interested in it. I love my little passion project right here. Okay, back to the outro. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, all I am asking for you to do today is leave a comment with your favorite book from the month of March. If you're interested in supporting my channel or being friends with me anywhere else on the internet, I have all of that, including my Patreon, Instagram, etc., linked down below. I will see you guys in another video very soon. Bye, guys.